What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're doing UFC 316 MERAB versus MALLEY picks. Finally, after that drought of terrible cards, we finally have a good card. I really like this card, especially because it has two of my favorite fighters on it. And real quick, before we get into the video, I do want to remind you guys that I am doing a $50 giveaway at 500 subscribers. So if you guys enjoy the UFC content, don't forget to like and subscribe. So to start off the early prelims, I don't think any of you guys really care too much about any of the fights on the early prelims. Quinlan is supposed to be a prospect, so that's the only real interesting fight on the early prelims, to be honest. I think he's going to win. I think Markel Medeiros is also going to win his fight. This guy is fucking terrible, so I'm picking Ju Sang Yu. And then I got Wang Kong. Her stand-up's actually pretty good. Ariana Silva, she's not bad, but she hasn't really beat anybody that good. She's a really mid women's fighter. She has a good ground game, but that's pretty much it. Her stand-up is pretty trash. So Wang Kong is one of the few women that could actually throw a punch properly and kick properly. So I'm picking her to win this fight, probably by a TKO. So starting off the prelims, we have Khaos Williams versus Andreas Gustafsson. I never heard of Andreas Gustafsson, but I looked at his record, and this is his first fight in the UFC at 34 years old. Khaos, he doesn't have the most pretty style. He doesn't have the most technical style, but if he lands a punch on you, you're going to sleep. He's kind of like a Derek Lewis at 170 if Derek Lewis was fit. So based off of that, I'm picking Khaos Williams in this fight. Khaos has never really lost to a bad fighter, and the other guy, I've never heard of him, so I can't pick him because I genuinely don't know anything about this dude. Not only is this going to be his first fight in the UFC, but he does have a shorter reach than Khaos too, which I think is just a recipe for disaster. So unless this guy's like a really grapple-heavy fighter and somehow can take down Khaos and just hold him down for the rounds, I don't see him winning this fight. So for this fight, I got Khaos Williams winning by either a first or second round knockout. Next up, we got Sergey Spivak versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. Waldo was such a fucking strange fighter because he doesn't look that good in any of his fights, but he still fucking wins them. He's the most fit, fat fuck I've ever seen in my life. And Sergey Spivak is kind of like the same thing. They're both mid, but they somehow pull off wins. It's just crazy to think about. If you put these guys on the treadmill and made them cut down to 205, they would lose almost every fight. But just because they're in heavyweight, and the heavyweight division is absolute dog shit, they have semi-decent records. Like, if you look at these records, you'd probably think these guys are prospects. These guys are probably so good. And then you watch these guys fight, and you probably think you know somebody that's about their same size that could probably beat them within 2 weeks of training. The heavyweight division is fucking terrible. Like, it's honestly crazy to me that you could be built this way and be a ranked top 15 heavyweight. But for this fight, I'm predicting a very boring decision where Waldo's just going to beat him in the striking. I don't think there's going to be much grappling. I think Sergey might try to grapple, but I don't think it's really going to work. The way Waldo's built, he kind of has built-in takedown defense, so I'm hoping that just works out for him. The reach is fucking crazy. There's no way that's accurate. I don't think it's possible to be 6'4" with a 70-inch reach unless you have a disability. But if that's true, then that might be a problem. But still, it's not like Sergey Spivak is a long, rangy striker. He's not fucking Alexander Volkov. So I'm picking Waldo Cortez Acosta to win by decision. I don't think this fight will be too interesting. Next up, we got a pretty good fight, not because of the matchmaking, but because it's going to be an absolute ass-whooping. We got Azamat Murzakanov versus Brendan Roberto. Ignoring these guys' records, if you put him in the cage, who do you think majority of the world is picking to win? This dude has a fucking 10-inch reach advantage, is built like an alien specimen, and he's still going to get knocked the fuck out by Azamat Murzakanov. If y'all have never seen Azamat Murzakanov fight, he's low-key crazy good at boxing. And if you've ever seen a Brendan Roberto fight, you know this guy's just a dum-dum. So I got Azamat Murzakanov probably winning by either a first or second round TKO. I don't think he's going to flatline Brendan, but he's probably going to like catch him with the hook or something and then just ground and pound him to win the fight. I honestly have no fucking clue why this fight was even made. Brendan sucks ass and Azamat is pretty good. So this one's a pretty obvious pick. I'm going Azamat by TKO. Next up, we got probably the most exciting fight on the card, Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van. I'm super fucking excited for this fight. I love Joshua Van, and Bruno Silva, he's a flyweight, so he's going to bring a good fight. The good thing about this fight is that Joshua Van is going against Bruno Silva, who's another midget for the division, so Bruno's not really going to be able to outpower him or be too long for him. So I feel like this is going to be a pretty easy matchup for Joshua Van. His boxing is sexy as hell, but Bruno is pretty hard-headed, so I don't think Joshua Van's going to be able to knock him out, but I do think the body shots are going to be a problem. I could see Joshua Van just landing like a whole bunch of hooks to the body and then Bruno kind of just gives up in the third round. But I feel like this fight is going to be a guaranteed good fight. Bruno Silva just spawned into the top 15 out of nowhere. Like, I've never seen this guy fight until he fought Manel Kape, and he was already ranked at that point. But he didn't look bad in the Manel Kape fight, so I believe he should be ranked. But how the fuck did he get there in the first place? But using that fight as a comparison, Joshua Van's probably going to beat his ass pretty badly. Because Joshua Van fights kind of similar to Manel Cap. They both have really fast hands, but Joshua Van kicks less. So I think Joshua Van is just going to volume punch the shit out of him. And he's just going to give up in one of the later rounds. Because Joshua Van gradually gets better over the rounds. So I feel like the body shot's just going to start landing more and more. And Bruno Silva won't really know what to do with it. I think Bruno might be able to rock Van in one of the earlier rounds, but nothing too much to worry about. I see Joshua Van winning this pretty easily by a body shot TKO in one of the later rounds. Before we get into the main card predictions, I did want to interact with the community a little bit more, so I'm introducing you guys to the Wheel of Weekly Fan Videos. So to kind of give you guys a brief rundown of what this is, every week the top 4 most liked video idea comments are going to be put on the wheel, and whichever one wins, no matter how diabolical the video idea is, as long as it's UFC or MMA related, I will make a video on it. So I did pull these comments from the UFC Waiters tier list. Our options are most and least exciting fighters, UFC fighters who I'd let date my daughter, UFC fighters as gay strippers tier list, and most and least exciting UFC fighters by fight style. So shout out to everybody who commented on that video, and let's spin the wheel to see who the winner of next week's video is going to be. So the winner of next week's video is going to be UFC fighters as gay strippers. This video idea was commented by Mr. Tame1, so you guys will be getting a UFC fighters as gay stripper tier list next week. So once again, before we get back into the picks, don't forget to comment down your video ideas below. The top 3 like comments will get put on the wheel for next week. So let's get back into the picks. So starting off the main card, we have one of my favorite fighters, Kevin Holland, going up against Vicente Luque. I already told you guys I'm never picking against Kevin Holland, and I will stand by that shit no matter who the fuck it is. I'm not picking against Kevin Holland. I'm not picking against Sean O'Malley. I'm not picking against Manel Cap, Dan Hooker, or Peyton Talbot. So if you guys ever expect me to pick against these dudes, I won't. So I got Kevin Holland probably by first round knockout, to be honest. Vicente Luque hasn't looked good in his past few fights. He looked decent against Themba Gorimbo, but then again, it's Themba Gorimbo, so that shit goes in one year and out the other. I know Kevin could get caught up in a Darce choke, but I don't think Vicente is the same guy he was a few years back. And it's also important to mention that this fight is at welterweight. Kevin Holland is actually pretty good at welterweight. I know Kevin Holland isn't the best fighter in the world, but one thing you can't really deny is his striking is pretty good. And Vicente isn't the biggest dude in the division. I could see Luque wrestle him the whole fight and try to make it kind of a boring fight, but I still don't think that's going to work against Kevin because he does have pretty long limbs, so he might be able to pull a submission out of nowhere, and he does pretty good ground and pound, even off his back. So I honestly don't really see a way that Luque can win this fight now. If this fight was a few years back, he definitely has a really good chance of winning this fight. But right now, I see Kevin winning this fight pretty easily, either by a first round knockout or a second round knockout, maybe even a submission out of nowhere. But I just think Kevin's going to be too long for him. He's just going to be striking at range and just damaging Luque. Luque hasn't really been the same these past few fights, so I don't really think this is going to be too hard of a fight for Kevin. I think he'll win this pretty easily and then probably fight in like 2 months. Maybe a 1-2 down the middle, kind of like how he knocked out Joaquin Buckley and how he rocked Gunnar Nelson. So yeah, I got Kevin by knockout. Next up, we got Mario Batista versus Patchy Mix. Now, before I start talking about this gremlin, I do want to set one thing straight. I don't hate Mario Batista as a person. I think he's actually a pretty fun fighter. It was funny seeing him jump over Ricky Simone kick. If you guys haven't seen that, look that up. But that Jose Aldo fight pissed me off. And honestly, it wouldn't have been that much of a problem if he just kept his mouth shut after the fight and just took the win and just kind of moved on. But after the fight, he was like, well, if you know a way to beat the guy, you're obviously going to do that. And I mean, just fight him like a regular person. Don't just hug him against the cage. But then again, I came to realize after some time, that is Jose Aldo's fault as well. How the fuck are you supposed to be considered the top 5 fighter of all time if you just give up the second your back hits the cage or the mat? He gave up against Amy and Zahabi in the 3rd round. He gave up against Mario Batista the second he gets his back to the cage. He gave up against MERAB. So a little bit of the blame is off of Mario Batista. I still think he looks like a fucking cockroach, but that has nothing to do with his character. Please, whenever I talk shit about Mario Batista or any of these fighters other than John Jones, do not take it seriously. Now that we're done with all that, I'm picking Patchy Mix to beat the fuck out of Mario Batista. He's beat some pretty decent talent that has fought in the UFC before and has gotten wins in the UFC. So I can honestly see this guy being a pretty big problem in bantamweight. I don't think the fight is going to be as easy as Patchy's thinking it's going to be. Mario's still going to give him a little bit of problems. But I still see Patchy Mix beating him up pretty easily. I think Patchy's probably going to win this by like a second round submission. Or maybe even by decision. I just think his wrestling and his grappling is just a little bit too good for Mario Batista. And another reason why I don't like Mario Batista is because he robbed Damon Blackshear, and I really like Damon Blackshear. So I feel like if you rewatch that fight, Patchy Mix is like Damon Blackshear, but just 3 times better. I got Patchy Mix winning by either a submission or maybe even a TKO. But if I had to put money on it, probably like a second or maybe even a first round submission. Next up on the card, we got the battle between the Gulf of Mexico and the Gulf of America. We got Kelvin Gastelum versus Salty Joe. I know initially when this fight was scheduled, I did pick Kelvin Gastelum to win this fight, but I did watch MMA Guru's predictions, and he mentioned something that I didn't really think about. Sean Brady is Joe Pyfer's training partner, and Sean Brady is a lot smaller than Joe Pyfer, and he beat the shit out of Kelvin Gastelum. So what do you think Joe Pyfer's going to do? He's going to beat the shit out of Kelvin Gastelum. He's probably just going to wrestle him and probably hit him with a stop-resisting submission. Kelvin needs to fix his diet and do some leg workouts and stay at 170, or just retire. Because he's just going to give himself more and more brain damage for nothing, because he's not going to win any significant fights. But yeah, after watching the MMA Guru video, I've completely changed my mind in this fight. I feel like Joe Pyfer is going to strike with Kelvin Gastelum for like the first minute of the fight, and then he's going to shoot a takedown fueled by rage and racism, and then he's either going to win by TKO or a stop-resisting submission. If I had to guess, I think he's probably going to win by TKO. He's probably just going to ground and pound him to death because he wants to let out some anger over what happened to him in Mexico. So yeah, for this fight, I'm predicting Joe Pyfer to win by TKO. Rest in peace to Kelvin Gastelum. Next up, we got Juliana Peña versus Kayla Harrison. We deadass have Rafael Fiziev in a fucking wig fighting against Juliana Peña. I want you guys to just look at these two and try to guess who I'm going to pick. Obviously, I'm picking Kayla Harrison. Juliana Peña does have a chance to win because she's just hard-headed and might be able to trudge through Kayla Harrison's shit. But I feel like as long as Kayla Harrison doesn't die from the weight cut and is still able to stand in the 4th and 5th round, she's just going to easily win 1 through 3. Probably ground and pound the fuck out of Juliana Peña. I feel like this fight might get stopped due to a doctor's stoppage. Probably a pretty big cut on Juliana's forehead. She has a massive forehead. So I'm picking Kayla Harrison under the condition that she doesn't die during the weight cut. And the UFC are going to do whatever they can to get Kayla to win that fight so then they can promote the Amanda Nunes fight. Juliana is one of those other fighters that just spawned into the top 15. And let's call it what it is. She got lucky in that fight against Amanda Nunes. Amanda was unmotivated, looked like she had a bad weight cut, looked like she didn't want to be in there, and then beat the fuck out of her in the rematch. The Raquel Pennington fight didn't show that she improved in any way, shape, or form. Kayla had problems against Ketlin Vieira, but I feel like Ketlin Vieira would also beat the hell out of Juliana Peña. So this one's a no-brainer for me. I'm picking Kayla Harrison by either decision or like a 1st or 2nd round doctor stoppage because she's going to elbow the fuck out of Juliana Peña. And last but most definitely not least, we got Sean O'Malley versus MERAB. Dude, can you imagine not inviting MERAB's neighbor to the fight? Look, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I know I'm a Sean O'Malley dick rider, but even if I wasn't, I'm still picking him to win this fight. If you guys rewatch that fight, it was closer than you guys think. I'm not even going to try to make the argument that Sean won that fight because I don't think he won that fight. But I know Sean O'Malley said, oh, I was okay. It was just a hip. Rewatch that fight and look how nervous he fucking looked. If you watch any of his other fights, he's never looked that nervous. Sean O'Malley doesn't start the first round off fast or anything, so that was normal. But if you just watch his walkout and look at how, like, just scared he looked in that cage, I don't think it was because he was scared of MERAB, because MERAB has a pretty similar style to Aljo. It's just with 1,000 times more cardio and no finishing ability at all. Which, don't get me wrong, is terrifying. But when Sean was letting his hands go and mixing it up, he was hurting MERAB. And now that Sean is healthy and he's took a break to fully recover, I think he's going to come back and put on a clinic against MERAB. I feel like MERAB is going to win the first round, but then Sean O'Malley almost lands like a really good punch at the end of the round. Then I feel like in the second round, MERAB is going to try to go for a takedown, and then Sean is either going to land some elbows, or he's going to manage his distance really well and then cut open MERAB, and MERAB is going to claim that it was like an eye poke or some shit. And then I can see Sean O'Malley finishing him either in the second round or third round. I see him flatlining MERAB. MERAB is getting older, and he does get rocked in almost every single fight. He hasn't been like flatlined in any of his fights, but I feel like if anyone is the person to do that, it's going to be Sean O'Malley. His hip is better now, so his takedown defense is going to be better. He's going to be able to move around a little bit more. He's already fought MERAB, so now he understands his movements a little bit more. MERAB isn't going to learn how to strike out of nowhere. It's a lot easier to learn how to defend a takedown than it is to learn how to strike. So I feel like we're going to see a more relaxed Sean O'Malley, and he's just going to put on a clinic, just mixing everything up, mixing it up to the body, the leg kicks too, to slow down MERAB. And I feel like something that people are ignoring is that Sean won the 5th round after getting dominated for round 2 and 4, which is not easy to do against MERAB. So now that he's fully healthy and he knows how MERAB is going to approach this fight, because he can't really switch it up that much, even if he wanted to, I honestly see Sean O'Malley winning this very easily. I only see him losing the first round. If it goes to the distance, I do see MERAB winning another round in between 2 through 5. But I'm very confident that Sean O'Malley is going to win this fight by either second or third round knockout. I think he's going to flatline MERAB, maybe even in the first round. This isn't me just riding Sean O'Malley. If you watch any of his other fights, he mixes it up so much more than he did in that fight. He wasn't throwing anything. The only fight that he looked that bad in was the one against Pedro Munoz, and I don't know what was up with that fight. But I feel like with the whole Sphere situation, the lights were just a little bit too bright for him, and he folded under pressure. Now that he stopped acting like somebody he's not, and he's not doing the extra shit for the cameras, I feel like he's going to be more dialed in, and he's going to put an ass whooping on MERAB. By any means, don't take this as me saying that MERAB isn't a good fighter. In my opinion, MERAB is the bantamweight GOAT. I just feel like stylistically, in a rematch, Sean O'Malley is just going to do better than MERAB. MERAB can't improve on the things that are going to benefit him in this fight as much as Sean can improve on those things. No, I don't think the not gooning and not being on social media is going to play a part in this fight. That shit does not matter. I feel like what makes a difference in this fight is not only did they fight once before, so now he knows how to approach this fight for the second time, but he's also going to be healthier and he won't be worried about disappointing his fans. So for my final predictions of this fight, I can see MERAB maybe winning the first round. He might get a takedown in the first because Sean O'Malley might be a little bit too jittery. But then Sean O'Malley's going to mix it up. The feints are going to get to MERAB and he's going to knock him out in either the second or third round. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below a video idea for next week's wheel. And click the video you see on screen right now or John Jones is going to touch you.